Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. So let's talk COVID and face mask. And part of the reasons why I want to discuss this is because the last couple of days I've seen some rather unusual things out and about and people wearing face masks. And I kind of want to try to use some common sense if that's even possible these days, because there seems to be a lot of lack thereof. So, driving home from work, this is about 2 days ago, and something I'm starting to see more frequent now that I've noticed this, and maybe I just haven't really caught on until recently. But I actually, on my way home from work, I pulled up to a traffic light, seen a lady wearing a face mask in a car, and I thought to myself, okay, well, why is she doing this? I thought maybe, okay, well, maybe there's other people in the car. Come to find out, there's nobody in the passenger seat. Looked in the back, nobody in the back seat. So, kind of confused as to why people are starting. I shouldn't say starting, wondering why people are wearing face masks while they're driving. Maybe I've missed a news report or something from the CDC or Tony Fauci talking about COVID is now hitting the highways and going through our cars and contaminating people with COVID. I mean, I don't really understand the thought process behind people wanting to do this. So I'm looking for some explanations and some thought and reason as to why people are doing some weird things. Okay. So yesterday morning, kind of to keep elaborating on what doesn't make sense anymore in our society because, well, we're just weird. Um, so I live in a townhome and recently built, brand new, 6 months old. And right behind where I live, there's a dog park. And this dog park is not very big. It's probably enough for a dog to take a shit, do a couple of circles, it's done. So I see a woman walk out to the dog park, nobody there, walking two dogs to this dog park, not very big. And mind you, this dog park is outside. So I see this lady walk up and she's wearing a face mask in the open, outside, nobody around but her and her two dogs. Why? I can't, I'm trying my best not to be like a complete dick about things like this, but I where is the common sense when it comes to COVID? I'm having a hard time understanding people and their thought process on when they should and shouldn't wear a mask. Okay. So this kind of falls in line to something that recently happened about a week and a half. Yeah, about a week and a half ago. And I kind of want to touch on because I think it's hilarious. So where I live here in Nashville, in some of the counties, it's required to wear a face mask upon entering an establishment such as a restaurant, and which is fine. I mean, I don't. That's my choice, and it's not any concern as to why I don't wear one. But anyways, kind of getting off the point. Um, I walk inside and I'm seeing people with face masks on. Now, let's think about this. We go from our car 25 yards, maybe to the front door of a restaurant. You put on your face mask. You walk into the establishment, and COVID is so thick in the air that you have to have this mask on, right? Okay, I get it. COVID is it's everywhere. And you're waiting to be seated. And as you're waiting, you're sitting down, waiting to be seated to your table, wearing a face mask. You're sitting down, wearing a face mask, waiting on your table. Now, here is the funny part about this, and something I just can't seem to wrap my head around. So we go to our table. We had hibachi, right? So good food, good food. And most hibachi tables, usually you sit with a group, right? That's just how they do hibachi. So, anyways, we go to our table and we sit down with a group of people I don't know, people I've never met, within probably 2 feet of me. Yes, 2 feet of me. I know it's scary. So, I mean, 2 feet from me is, you're kind of putting your life on the line because you don't know me, and I'm a bit of a smart ass, a dick at times, and I'm kind of rude and obnoxious and whatever else you want to call me. So we all sit down, and it was like out of nowhere, you break this barrier of COVID when you're standing, and as you go to sit down, you enter into this like bubble. It's almost like, have you ever seen the movie Spaceballs? Okay, so you know that part where they look at the Earth and it has like this opening slot.
They've reached the air shield.
And it's opening!
The ship's too big. They'll never get through.
How are they gonna get the air out? I don't see any hoses.
The air in and out for spaceships and all this and all that. Well, that's what it kind of reminded me of. Is like the movie Spaceballs, and I'm like thinking to myself, COVID is there. It is. I can see it. This cloud is so thick. It's so dangerous. And mind you, just 15 minutes ago, I'm sitting in the front of this restaurant with a face mask on because it's required. But now all of a sudden it magically just disappears when I sit at my table. And I'm ready to place my order, and COVID is nowhere to be found, and everybody's safe, and we're in this, this utopia of clean air, and nothing is going to hurt us. But let me tell you something: if you get up to go to use the bathroom, you better put on that mask, because once you break that threshold from clean air to COVID, you're going to get infected. You're going to get COVID. So my advice to you is make sure you wear your face mask and wear it properly. Okay. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yes, I'm being a complete total smart ass and whatever, but this is our society. This is what we are dealing with. We are dealing with things that don't make sense anymore. We're dealing with people who are been so brainwashed by the CDC, by our government, our local government, our media. You want to know what the biggest virus is right now? It's a couple of things. It's the government. Pretty much the government. The other virus would be the media, because they have what's infected your mind with thinking how horrible this is. Now, this isn't to minimize that COVID's not real. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there is no common sense being implemented in what we do when we wear a face mask, when we go out and about. There is no common sense whatsoever, because everybody's so paranoid, everybody's so scared, everybody's, oh my God, it's COVID. When the percentage of survival of COVID is ridiculously high. Is that even a word? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I haven't slept. I worked last night, and I should be in bed because I got to work tonight. I didn't want to work. Daniel's got to do Daniel has to do the show by himself. I feel bad for him. Y'all are probably going to be in for some like dad jokes all night long, but they're good jokes. I mean, they need to be more COVID dad jokes. Come on, Daniel, you got to be better at this. But anyways, back to what I was getting at. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen this cloud of COVID that hovers above you as you sit down and you eat in an establishment. And I don't know where our society went dumb. It's stupid, man. I mean, come on, folks. You're wearing a mask when you're driving and nobody's with you. You're taking your dog to the dog park. It's just you and your mutts, and you're wearing a face mask out in the open. You go to dinner, you're sitting 2 feet from people you don't even know that could possibly have COVID. Now, here's the interesting part about this, right? Okay, so follow me on this one. So as you probably have heard by now, and I'm going to tell you right now, you can throw all the scientific data shit at me. You can throw all the logical shit at me to tell me that this is all about health. This is about protecting other people. I don't care. because that is in a separate entity all by itself. We're talking about common sense practices in our everyday lives. Okay, so where was I going with this? Shit, I don't know. This is how stupid this shit is. I mean, seriously, it is. Oh yeah. So now we find out through the Red Cross that they have blood samples from back in mid-December of last year that a small percentage tested positive for the antibodies for COVID, right? So, okay, so COVID has been around for a little while, a lot longer than we had anticipated, which now moves the timeline back a little bit and kind of readjust that. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you heard, but me and Daniel, we covered COVID long before the media did. And we told people not to freak out. But y'all dumbasses went out and hoarded toilet paper. I just dropped that, so it'll have to stay down there for a minute. Yeah, people went out and hoarded toilet paper. Like, you're never going to shit that much in your entire life to require this much toilet paper. Stop doing it. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. I just almost sounded Brooklyn. I don't know why. That's weird. Anyways, yeah, so we told you guys back in January, we've got the videos are on YouTube. We talked about the coronavirus. We were going to monitor the situation. We were doing it well before even the mainstream media got wind of this. Like we knew what was coming. And we told y'all not to freak out, but y'all freaked out anyways and got a bunch of toilet paper. But yeah, it's what, here we are. Here we are again at the end of 2020, and you guys are wanting to hoard this shit again. So, man, this has been probably the strangest year ever. As you can tell, I haven't shaved. I haven't gotten a haircut. I've been working a lot. Don't get much sleep. But the one thing that kind of bothers me the most is that people are not thinking rationally when it comes to COVID, when it comes to wearing a face mask, when it comes to social distancing. I social distance long before COVID even came into play because people are just that stupid. People are not clean. I don't know about you guys, but there's some people I work with that are just gross. And if they're gross at work, it's probably a good indication of how they live at home. I'm just going to be honest with you. But here's the thing about COVID, right? So we're taught early on as a kid, or at least I was, to have good hygiene, to wash our hands. And, those are the practices that were taught by our parents and, people in school, So why are we having to be reminded of this? Why is the government, CDC, Tony Fauci, who, by the way, is a complete and utter joke if you ask me. Think about it. Tony Fauci, he stresses mandating masks, but yet goes to a baseball game and he's sitting next to two people and he slouches his face mask down and he's not even covering his face. He's a weirdo. So we're taught to, to stay clean, right? So this is something we should do anyways. This is common sense practice, people. This is what this is. And we have to remind grown adults to wash their hands. Why? I don't understand this. Please. I'm not being a smartass anymore. I'm only being a smartass because none of this shit makes sense. And for the people that know what I'm talking about, you can probably relate to this video, but then you're probably going to have a bunch of Karens watch this video and then tell me that I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and I'm going to report you to this person or that person. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And you know what the interesting thing is? I'm like all over the place with this COVID thing, and telling you different stories, this, that, and the other. But let me tell you a story that happened recently. I actually went to Bed Bath & Beyond to pick up a birthday present. Upon entering this establishment, every single person had a face mask on. They looked at me like I'm the weird one because I didn't have one on. Think about that. You went from December, when the timeline has now been adjusted, that COVID has been somewhat, I guess, visible or has been around in the States for a lot longer than we had anticipated. So let's say we go from December all the way to March. We lived our lives, we went to work, we took care of our families, we got sick, we took care of ourselves. We went back to work. We went back to hanging out with friends, and everything was fine. You had no media. You had no politician. You had nobody telling you how to live your life. I don't care who you are. The government and the media should never control your thought process and tell you what you should and should not do. The media and the government don't give a shit. They don't give two shits about your well-being. They never have. And they never will. Now, I can get into the nitty-gritties of the politics behind COVID, but I'm not going to, because I'm trying to keep this video about common sense, which politicians, the CDC, you get so many conflicting stories, you don't know what makes sense anymore, right? So turn off your TV, enjoy your families, enjoy your friends. Who gives a shit if it's more than 10 people? Really? Because I'm going to tell you right now, COVID is not looking at groups of people saying, ooh, hey, you got more than 10 people. I'm going to come over and I'm going to infect y'all motherfuckers. That's not how COVID works. Okay? There's not a set time as to when COVID wants to come out and play. You have some states that want to mandate a 10 o'clock last call at a lot of bars downtown Nashville. And it's almost like COVID wakes up at 9:45 p.m. and says, I want to drink. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get my clothes on, and I'm going to go and fuck with a bunch of people at a bar. No, folks, this isn't how this works. This is how none of this even works. COVID doesn't give a shit what time of the day it is. COVID doesn't give a shit if you're in a car. COVID doesn't give a shit. You're going to get it one way or another. If you hadn't already had it, because you got to think from December, probably earlier, all the way until March, there was a good population of people that probably already had COVID. We didn't know it. And hey, you're okay. When you lose anybody to any illness, it's a tragedy. Okay, I'm going to be serious about this for a second, okay? Because I know people that have lost loved ones to COVID, but I've also known people who have lost loved ones to the flu, to diabetes, heart disease. I can keep going on with that list. COVID is not the only thing that kills us in the society that we currently live in. Remember that. COVID is not the only thing that kills us. It's everything around us. Stop listening to the news. Stop listening to the government. Live your life. That's what you're meant to do. Enjoy the holidays with your friends and family. And to the ones that have lost loved ones because of COVID, I'll say the same thing to the people that have lost loved ones to the flu or to diabetes, to obesity, heart disease. It happens. It's unfortunate, but this is our society. The moment you can actually understand that death is a part of the process in which we do is what we call living, then you understand that there's no escape from death. It's going to happen one way or another, whether it's COVID, the flu, or anything out there that can potentially kill us. COVID might be something that's a little quicker than the flu that kills you, or say, diabetes or heart disease, cancer, of anything of that sort. But let's not all focus in on just COVID, because as a society, we have bigger issues that should be addressed, and they're not. And that's obesity. We rank as to one of the highest in the world when it comes to obesity in this nation. Heart disease, these are things that, that should also be addressed and brought to the forefront. Let's not make this all about COVID. That's my point. And aside from that, let's use some common sense when it comes to wearing a face mask. Let's just go back to actually implementing some good hygiene. Wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. These are things that can help in preventing from getting sick, whether it's from COVID or from, the regular flu. So anyways, all right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. I want to make a quick video because I am not doing a live show tonight. I've got to go back into work because right now we're on 6 days a week just before the holidays. Yay me. But yeah, stay safe. And if you don't want to wear a mask, you don't have to wear one. And it's still going to be okay. But if you want to wear one, hey, I'm not going to shame you for wearing a mask. Just be smart about it. Use some common sense when you use it. If you're in a car by yourself, you don't need to wear it. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. See you.